when I first met our first guest today, Gabby Tuff. She was a former WWE superstar in the early stages of complete transformation.
I think because of the persona I had, I was the alpha male. I don't think society would have been ready for that at that time, because it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
To be a WWE superstar, you have to play up a persona.
Yes.
At the same time, you are you. How did you balance your personal identity with the role and the character?
Hunter, Triple H, had always told us, he said, the best character, it's just you with the volume turned way up.
Did you lock the door? Is the screwdriver in the...
I got it in my hand. What are your dreadlocks too tight, man?
What you talk? This is... Come on, where is this stuff?
You practice it at home, you kind of figure it out. And there were some times when it crosses over into your everyday life and you realize, oh, I'm kind of in my gimmick right now and I need to dial it down about 10 notches on the volume. So you play with that a little bit and you find your happy ground. And then suddenly you get into this groove where when the curtain opens, you just flip a switch and like that, you're who you're supposed to be on camera.
Keywords you said there were happy ground.
Yep.
And who you're supposed to be.
Right.
Which is where you find yourself now.
Very much.
How did you get to that point? What was the journey like?
It was interesting. I didn't expect it. I had some experiences when I was younger. I used to get dressed up in my mom's clothes and stuff until I was about 14 when nobody was around. It was like my deep, dark secret. I always had more girlfriends, more toys that were girls. I wanted a Cabbage Patch Kid so bad and Barbies and stuff like that. But then society just goes, hey, it's not okay to be feminine as a boy. So I buried it for my entire life because I had no context for it. But about 36, it resurfaced. And to be honest, I don't know why it took so long to resurface or why it did, but it was just this gradual progression to who I am now from that point on.
If that gradual progression didn't take as long and happened while you were a WWE superstar, what do you imagine that would have been like? Would it have been possible?
Oh, that's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that before. I don't think it would have been possible. At that time I was about 260 pounds with dreadlocks. I had hairy chest, like you name it. I was the alpha male of alpha males. I don't think society would have been ready for that at that time because it's a process. It doesn't happen overnight.
You're someone who's in the industry of sport,
right?
Wrestling specifically, and then fitness.
Yeah.
All spaces where I'd imagine it would be even more challenging. How so?
Well, my previous business was still fitness and nutrition. We still did online personal fitness and nutrition coaching. We had a lot of programs that you could purchase and do on your own. 92% male demographic. And all those guys, they looked at me. I was the poster boy for my company. I was their hero. I was everything they wanted to be, so they looked up to me. And then when they find out that their hero is transitioning to female, it shakes everybody. And so I actually lost that business because of it. It completely tanked. And I don't blame anybody for it, ever. I made this choice. It was my choice to medically transition. And so I don't expect men to want to follow a male that's transitioning. So it was very difficult to have to start from scratch and figure out who I am and then build an entire new business for myself.
Now, not only transition, but transition your business. What does that look like? What changes, if any, have you made, and what changes have you seen from your clientele?
It's been a full 180. So still do online personal fitness and nutrition coaching. I have an app that I use now. I have a team underneath me where I've got PhDs that I've hired. I have coaches that work with NFL players. So I built this very strong team, and we work with 99% biological females. That's the flip. So I have these born women that are inviting me in Google Meets and Zoom calls to chat with them and help them with their lives. In the background, kids are waving, husbands are waving, hi Gabby, good to see you. So this full transition from working with males to working with all females and seeing them change their lives forever. It's amazing.
There's an impact professionally. Mm-hmm. What's the impact personally? How did it impact your relationships?
Well, my wife it was 21 years, July, this year. We separated in October 2021. She moved out, and we had some highs and some lows, but we're still best of friends. We still love each other. We're still tied at the soul, at the heart. We co-parent together. She lives 5 minutes away. And of course, when we started this journey, we both thought we could make it work. We can do this. It's about love, right? It's still about love. It's just not the fairy tale ending we thought it would be, but it's so much better than we ever imagined.
Do you mourn that relationship, your previous experiences? Do you struggle with that at all?
I don't. No, this feels like a complete rebirth. And I look at it this way. I feel as if I had a book that I was writing for my life, and I closed it. And I've opened, it's not even a new chapter, it's like I'm writing a whole new book. And as my former self as Gabe, I did amazing things as a man. I accomplished so much, and I helped so many people. That book's closed, and this is a brand new one. So there's no mourning, it's all happiness, it's all excitement and anticipation for what's to come.
Would you consider being the first WWE diva that is transgender?
I wouldn't say no to the opportunity. I have to look at it this way. Because I am the first male superstar that was on the roster to transition, anything I do from this point forward, if I go back and I get in the ring and hold a microphone, that's history. Nobody's ever done that. If I were to wrestle a guy, that's history. Nobody's ever done that. Yes, cis women have, but not a male superstar that transitioned. If I wrestled a female and was in the Divas division, we're writing wrestling history at that point.
You're learning as you go through the process.
Oh, yeah.
What have you learned about transitioning, about being trans, about owning your space and your truth that you didn't know that you feel it's important for other people to understand?
I believe a lot of people are curious about what's happening. Trans people are about 1% of the population, at least in the United States. And you don't see a lot of trans people in person. And so when you do, and people ask questions, I see a lot of people in my community get very offended very quickly, and they're on the defense. But I believe that if we look at it a little differently, this is what I've learned, if we take a different stance and know that it's more curiosity, and we're not as easily offended, we can create education and help people to have some empathy. And I think we'll create a bridge where there's a gap right now.
Well, I think you did that with this conversation. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm honored.